You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hard.
Hey guys, it's Tanya.
Hi, it's Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yeah, welcome. So we are doing today. We're going down the Adam Sandler pipeline. We're just obsessed with him. I think we've talked about this many times before, but we love Adam Sandler, and we're going back to some of the classics. But this is one of my favorites. It's from 1996, Happy Gilmore. So we are going to be talking about some good stuff. Hopefully you will like this movie as well too, if you're tuning in or you just want to relive some of the moments. Also, we wanted to do something on this because there is a Happy Gilmore 2 coming out. I don't know the release date yet, but it should be not too far away. Maybe in the summer 25 or end of 25, but we'll find out. We'll definitely do another episode around that too. So let's get into Happy Gilmore. So we have Happy Gilmore, who is an avid hockey player. He gets this love of hockey from his dad. They're always playing. They're always going to games. And Happy is, his dad is pretty intense around it. And Happy kind of says, I think in the first scene, he talks about, I wasn't really good with like skating, but I had a nice, like, what do they call it? Like a hook shot or, kind of the shot into the goal. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, people. I don't know the lingo. But yeah, and so that was kind of his saving grace. And that was what he always loved hockey, and him and his dad, that was the bond between them. He said his mom didn't love it so much, and she ended up moving to Egypt because where there's no ice hockey rinks, and it doesn't seem like she became much part of his. No, she wasn't really a part of his life after that, which is sad. It's kind of sad, but he presents it in such a funny way. So, in such an Adam Sandler way too, right? He's kind of just going down the line, naming all these funny things, having these funny shots of him hitting his dad with a puck when they're practicing. But ultimately we learn that Happy's dad passes away because he gets hit with a hockey puck at a game. Yeah. And then he has to go live with his sweet little grandma who dresses up as Gene Simmons to greet him of Kiss. And so she seems pretty cool. Mm-hmm. That I don't know what it is about that grandma, that actress, but she just played such great little cute grandma figures that were also pretty hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, the one I always think of is on Seinfeld when, is it Jerry trying to get, like, is it the rye bread or something like that?
The rye bread. Yep.
He's like,
he steals it from her. She's like, help. And then she recognizes him later when she moves to Florida and his father's running for like condo president or something. And she's like, it was you. He steals it like a madman running down the street. Like, who does that? Who steals bread from an old lady?
Gotta have it. It's the last one.
Yeah, but she's pretty great. Happy Gilmore does say at this point, he kind of starts to develop a short fuse. He's kind of got, and it's no wonder, as therapists, that's kind of the, I don't know if your ears kind of perked up where I was like, oh, because the dad died, his mom.
And he even says that too. He says like, because he talks about the one thing at the birthday party or something. He's like, then I kind of had a short fuse because I'm angry about my, lost my dad, didn't have, his mom had already abandoned him. And then what I like though is like he beat up this kid. And then afterwards, he's like, you know what? I screwed up. Let me go apologize. Give you a weird back rub and give you some cake. We're friends now.
The kid just looks really confused and scared. I don't know of which part more, but I'm sure that's stuck in his memory. That was a traumatic memory for him. He develops a really odd way of coping with his anger. He doesn't have great coping skills. So he just kind of lets it all out. He's got no impulse control and then feels bad and apologizes quickly after. He does that with his girlfriend where and I love, oh my gosh, this movie could not be made. I mean, like, it couldn't be made in the same way as it was then. I mean, I don't know, maybe the second one will be and they'll just keep to that, but there's just so many so many things that we just could not, condone now, I think, but this was the 90s of it all. So, and Adam Sandler, but I guess that the girlfriend breaks up with him and he's like, yeah. And he starts to say all these insults to her. And he's like, well, you're, you know what? Because she says, like, you're kind of listless. You're not really doing much with your life. And he's like, yeah, well, I seen those finger paintings of your students and they ain't nothing great.
Yeah. Those kindergartners don't even know what they're doing.
And then as soon as he yells, he's like, don't leave. Come back. I love you. And she's like, no. And he's like, well, I don't want you anyways.
Yeah.
He's kind of got, therapeutically, we see this kind of like really avoidant mixed attachment style where he pushes people away, but then is like, no, I need you. Borderline-ish mixed attachment
But it follows too with, if we go back to his childhood, his mom abandoned him. And then he was raised by his dad, and his dad, even though he was comforting, was still kind of like hostile at times, except related to hockey. And then he dies in a violent way. And so he has that. He has a lot of abandonment, and it's like, okay, how do I latch on to people, or what do I do? How do I get them to stay, or do I want them to stay? It hurts when they stay,
Yeah, he definitely has some emotional difficulties going on there. And I mean, I'm sure his grandma's trying the best she can, but she's kind of older. She probably couldn't look out for all those things. Maybe that wasn't even a part of what she would even consider, probably just the basics of taking care of him, making sure he's okay kind of thing.
She started taking care of him at like, I don't know, 8 or 9, whatever he was.
Yeah. So he kind of carries that with him throughout his life. And he still holds to his love of hockey. He still tries out for this amateur kind of team every time. And he just is really violent and really like, checking people against the wall and being like, that's my puck, kind of just really, really angry and upset. He doesn't know how to emotionally. He's a hothead on the ice. It's just kind of, he never makes the team because of this and because he really can't focus on his skills. Instead, he's just kind of reacting to all the stuff he's doing wrong that he can't get right.
Yeah. And breaking the glass where the two coaches.
Oh, yeah.
That probably
did. Like so impossible.
But then beating up the coach after that he didn't get on the team.
Yeah, he's got some anger issues, but very, very lightly. But yeah, it instead, I think, is kind of that time where people would be like, oh, let's stay away, rather than realizing like, oh, he's got some issues, or maybe they just, because he was an adult by that point, they were like, I don't know what to do with him. But definitely a product of his upbringing and abandonment, and also just not having any anger management or coping skills towards upset and disappointment and not winning and not getting what he needs. But yeah, so he then comes to realize that his grandmother's house, all her stuff is being taken because she has all these, like, what is it, like $270,000 in back taxes that she hasn't paid. So the bank is trying to take her house, and he's trying to figure out a way to save it. And then he, somebody sees him shooting the golf ball, the stuff.
Well, they start betting him because the two guys are like just being like, oh, they found his grandfather's clubs, and they're just like shooting, hitting the ball. How sportsy am I? No, but they start hitting the ball, and just like they're thinking they're really great. And then he's like, oh, this is so dumb, golf and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, but you can't do it. So then he's like, oh wait. So then they start betting him, and I think he made like $60 from that after he's shooting it all the way down the road. And then he's like, huh, maybe I can start making money at the driving range and start doing different things. So that's pretty much how I think he started thinking like, okay, this could actually be a job, or I can start hustling people.
Yeah. And then he like is at the driving range, and all these people are like, you should try it, because he shoots all these like magnificent, just far, far reaching, heights with the golf ball. I think he's playing with a hockey stick, or maybe his grandfather's. I don't know what he's playing with, but he's really just making these really far shots, and everyone's like, you should be in the Waterbury Inn, because he's in Waterbury, Connecticut, which is just so funny to me. They're dressed like such Waterbury, Connecticut, like just Connecticut.
Yeah, with their sweaters tied.
And that's when Chubbs, the mentor guy, the figure in his movie, that there's like some coach guiding him, or some that's like some wise sage man that's going to help him with this. And he discovers him and is like, oh, he could be a good golfer for the Open. And but along the way we see Adam.
Happy.
Same thing. He's pretty much his characters.
Same difference.
Yeah. But Happy is just, he really has difficulty controlling his emotions, and he can, really hit this golf ball, but he just has a tough time when people say things or heckle him. And this slowly is becoming kind of like his downfall in his play. And Chubbs is realizing that and saying like, ugh, like he's really, we gotta kind of train him to not be such a hothead. I think he even gets like, isn't there like some sort of coach he gets in to kind of like help with, to be like, hey, you gotta be calm.
No, what happens is they team each other up. Like, so I guess like when you're in the golf
Open tournament,
tournaments, like I guess they go against a person, because it always seems like there's two people. So one of his people that he was playing with, like who was his, I guess not even partner, but just playing next to, was very zen. He was the one who was like, so you just got to do this and do that. And so he was the one who was coaching him through the whole thing, but he wasn't the coach. He was just the person that was kind of almost like stuck next to him while he was doing all this.
Trying to get him to calm down. And it was just enraging him further.
Yeah. Because he's like, dude, stop. Enough.
It just didn't work with him. Yeah. And then he meets the journalist, Virginia.
I think she's the marketing or social, because there wasn't social media back then, but she was like the PR person. There was no social media in 96. Yeah. So she was the PR person for the tour, for the whole tour. So that's why she was like at first standing next to Shooter, because, he's the up and coming, everyone's expecting him to get the yellow jacket at the end. Shooter McGee or something.
McGavin.
Yeah.
McGavin. Shooter McGee is better, but yeah, I think it was Shooter McGavin. Shooter McGee.
Pew pew. But yeah, so that's why she was standing with him and the other guy, because it was like, I think they probably all expected him to win because he's going to get all the publicity. That's also why she was like talking to her boss, like, oh no, let's keep Happy. Look at all the people that are now watching and interested in golf, because they never, because it's interesting.
Like a draw. Yeah. It's a draw for the people. Yeah. He's not just this boring golf. It like brings about some attention to it.
Yeah.
And then he, of course, thinks she's hot and wants to date her or whatever. And so they start a little romance there. Mm-hmm. And she also is kind of trying to keep him to be like, hey, you can't keep playing. Like, I kind of saved your butt. Like you got to calm down, calm yourself down. And then Chubb is also working with him to be like at the mini golf range. And he basically, is kind of trying to give him some techniques. And he ends up giving him visualization. He's like, go to your happy place. Mm-hmm. And that's very, very therapeutic and very helpful. It's a lot of athletes apparently use that to kind of clear their minds or focus and
visualize.
His happy place is the PR lady, Julie Bowen, Virginia, and his grandma winning at a casino, and a little person on a unicycle or something. Like, it's just so random.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler-esque. Yeah.
How his mind works.
Yeah. And so really memorable scenes that I loved were the Bob Barker scene, because he ends up having to team up with him at the Masters or tournament, whatever that is.
Yeah. It was like someone who's a professional golfer. And yeah, I guess it was to earn money, because I think he got his $7,000. Well, not little, because all his checks, he made them make the big checks. Remember, like he's like,
oh yeah,
because they're like, oh, we can't give you a check and it'll be a couple weeks. He's like, what? Just what about the big check? And so that's why he ended up with like a whole car full of big checks, because he didn't want, but like with Bob Barker, I think they were just put together because, celebrity professional golfer, it's just like random.
Yeah, like that was like how they paired them up. And Bob Barker, I guess, was getting kind of angry at Happy for he wasn't playing a good game, and he was getting heckled by the Shooter had hired some guy to be like,
you suck,
jackass, and like, sit there and call him like a jackass, like right before he would shoot. And Bob Barker gets mad, says something kind of nasty to Happy, and Happy's like, what? And then they just take each other out, and Bob Barker gets the best of that exchange.
Yeah, because that was the first thing, like when they first met, Bob Barker's like, okay, I won last year, or came in first or second last year. I expect to do the same. And then they were dead last.
And then, yeah, that's where the signature, for me, like, that's what I always picture with Adam Sandler, that signature yelling of like, oh, come on, the price is wrong.
Price is wrong, Bob.
Oh my gosh. It's just so, that scene just cracks me up because then, Bob Barker, rather than just being startled and like kind of like, oh my gosh, he just fights him right back and pushes him into the retention pond or whatever the heck that is. Yeah, and then he also gets into a fight with an alligator, which is the one that took Chubb's arm and the one-eyed alligator that Chubb's got his eye. He like wrestles him in the water and he's like, like he's playing fetch with a dog. And
yeah, I wasn't sure how he killed him. I guess like just punching him killed him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that would actually work. You can clearly see it's like a rubber alligator now with like the TVs that we have now, but because it's like bobbing along like so like rubbery.
Yeah,
it's like a
no CGI, no CGI back then.
But yeah, I think he like punched him because he just like attacked the alligator, and then he gives Chubbs the gift of like his head, and then that ultimately kills Chubbs because he gets so scared he backs up and falls out a window. So Happy's like so upset and he's like, oh, people that get close to me die. You should get away, Virginia, and he's like got that trauma of like, oh, people die around me, like his dad and Chubb. He's like takes on that trauma, but ultimately, Happy is able to use his visualization and calm down and, not without a few hijinks and, the heckler guy driving a Volkswagen through and running him down.
Yeah. Well, and it even goes back to, when Chubbs brought him to the mini golf, he's like, okay, because when the tower falls, it's like, okay, this reminds me of that weird shot that I had to do. And it goes back to Chubbs' strange coaching.
And the fact that they just like kept that there, they're like, well, this is part of the golf course now. You can shoot off of that and
go around it. Yeah. So much product placement with Subway. It's like having another Subway sandwich. Oh, wait, now I'm going to advertise for Subway and Subway is going to be.
Yeah. It's a classic, hilarious movie. Shouts in the way that Adam Sandler, his characters, the way he just is unhinged and so ridiculous. Classic Adam.
Yeah, that's just his trademark, I think, in probably all his movies.
I think he kind of like matured more, but he still kind of can lose it a little bit in some of them, or like just kind of shout in that way, and it just kind of brings to mind some of those old movies and the way he would act. But I just think this is honestly just hilarious to me, even though I understand like the humor behind it. It's just when the grandma gets put in a nursing home and she's just being abused, like it gets to me and I can't laugh at that because I'm like, oh, like I have a soft spot
because it's kind of, because you're like, okay, Ben Stiller, Nurse Ben Stiller, whatever you're, like it's like you like, okay, so I understand, like he's like, okay, gonna make some money making them make quilts and do this all their other stuff,
but the hotline.
Yeah. It's just so strange. But yeah, I'm sure he's like, okay, where can I put my buddy Ben Stiller in the movie?
It's like, he looks like an abusive orderly. Sure.
Yeah, grow this mustache, or let's glue this mustache on you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And also Norman, why am I blanking on his name? Norman, the one that he always has in his movies, the one that was on SNL, Norman, I can't think of his name, but he always has him in his movies too. But when he's just like one of his like goof around buddies, and he's like, kind of just, like kind of just like, I think they're throwing like, oh wait, I
think you're thinking, because you said you watched Big Daddy recently, and I think that he was in Big Daddy. So
I saw some clips of Billy Madison.
Oh, okay.
Where they throw the dog poop up on the porch. Whenever. Yeah, that is not.
We'll have to do Billy Madison sometime too.
Yeah, Billy Madison is another one of my favorites. I'm mixing that up, but yeah, it's just, I mean, his friends that are kind of in all his movies.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, I don't know if there's too many SNL people. Kevin Nealon was in Happy Gilmore. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't look like there was tons of others. There's one person that looked like, I thought it was, what's his name? Kevin, oh my God. The guy who was in King of Queens.
We can't think of anyone. You all know who we're talking about, though.
So, anyway, Kevin James.
Kevin
there's
James,
one
there
guy
you
that
go.
looked like Kevin James, who I was thinking was Kevin James in Happy Gilmore, but it was not. It's not. So
There's a lot of his gang around, and
Mhm.
they're just kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
They also had some movies, or went on to have some movies, and they just were kind of the funny guys
Yeah.
at that time, and still I think
Yeah.
they still are, but
Yeah.
it was just a time. I just thought it was such a good movie, and such just a way of, I guess, just from the mental health perspective, just the anger
Mhm.
management and trying to control anger impulses, and learning about visualization, and
Right.
being able to adapt. Also adaptability.
Yeah.
He had to adapt between hockey
Yeah.
and golf, and
And
pivot.
and also he had to slow down, like with the breathing and everything like that, and he couldn't just be a hothead just because that's what he wanted to do. Because there was a couple times after he's talked to about like, okay, you can't really act like that. You're going to get kicked off. You could tell he wanted to flip out, but he's like, okay, this is who I need to be right now. I need to slow down and just golf.
Yeah. And he uses the goal of like grandma. Remember grandma?
Yeah,
like
grandma,
her house.
grandma.
Yeah. And like he's definitely a very caring person. He cares about his grandma. That's who basically raised.
Yeah, he even has her picture in his car instead of car dice. He just has grandma pictures. Do you remember? I remember
Grandma.
people used to have that. My mom had something like that in her car. She had a car where she would have a box, like one of those picture box things hanging under the rearview mirror.
I think I remember them. Like, I don't think my mom had it, but I think, I do remember that.
Yeah,
That was kind of a big thing.
Yeah, very 80s or something.
This was a hilarious movie where there was just a lot of points we thought were interesting, with mental health and anger management, and also kind of growing up, focusing on other people, pivoting in your career and in your life, and dealing with adversity and having to, manage that. And he actually does have a lot, and I know he doesn't focus on this. Of course, we're just focusing on it, but he does have to learn that. And he learns that through golf and through people helping him out and supporting him. So that is a plus in our books.
Yeah. And staying true to who he is at the end, his love for his family, his grandma. It's.
Yeah. And keeping his family together, and his house, the house that his grandfather built, keeping that in the family and everything. So yeah, if you have not seen that movie, go check it out. Especially if you're kind of a Gen Xer or late millennial, I think you'll appreciate it. I'm just saying, like, that was a time, and so maybe you kind of remember that. But it definitely was just really funny. Again, very not politically correct in a lot of ways nowadays, but I think there were a lot of movies that definitely were not.
And it's okay.
At that point.
It's okay to have silliness every once in a while and not worry about being completely politically correct.
Yeah, I think we still, that's just kind of that's what we grew up seeing.
Yeah.
So the non-PC nature is nostalgia.
Now, I'm curious for Happy Gilmore 2, how many of the same people will be in it, because, a lot of people have passed away, but a lot of people are still alive, or if he's going to add new people, or if it's still going to be related to golf, or if he's going to actually play hockey.
Yeah. I think it definitely is kind of up for grabs. I don't know. I think they've said some people are going to be in the movie. They've kind of announced it, but they haven't really put much out there about it, at least as far as I could see.
Right. Yeah, they're probably keeping it hidden.
Yeah, but it's exciting. That'll be fun to look forward to, because that's been almost 30 years.
In 1996.
Oh my God, that makes me. I was very cognizant and aware during that time, and the fact that it was 30 years ago makes me feel very old. But it is what it is. I know it's one of my favorites.
I forgot how much I really liked it. I thought it was funny, but I watched it last night with the family. It was their first time seeing it. There was so much laughter happening. So that was good.
That's good. Yeah, it is. It is really, really funny. Just everything about it, just the ridiculousness, the silliness, the Adam Sandler-ness.
Yeah.
The 90s.
Even like when he's bringing grandma to the nursing home and the one lady jumps on the car because he's like, "Oh, grandma, this is such a nice place." He's trying to sell it to her. Look at the
resort.
Look at the grass. Maybe they have a pool. And then this lady jumps on, "Help me, get me out of here."
And then the air conditioner ends up falling on her.
He's like, "I think I killed her."
Yeah, he's like, "All right, see ya." Yeah, that's that. Yeah, go check it out again. I was able to find it for free. I think it was I don't know if it was on Prime or whatever, but you can pretty much find it anywhere nowadays. So yeah, go watch it again or watch it for the first time, and hopefully you'll be able to relive some of the funny laughs that we did and the nostalgia of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did want to come to the question to ask you. So if you had your choice between hockey or golf that you would want to play and had maybe some talent leading into it that could possibly get you maybe somewhere, what would you choose? Would you rather be talented at ice hockey or golf?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't know how to ice skate. I think I've gone like twice in my life, but of the two, I think I'd rather play hockey. It looks more fun. Like even though there's chances I'd probably lose my teeth or get punched in the face, it just, once I learned how to skate and I wasn't afraid and you have all this equipment, it looks like hockey might be more fun, but I know a lot of people love golf. So I think I would choose hockey.
I think I would do the same. I think because I agree. I think it seems more fun, and I don't know, the golf just does not appeal to me at all, and it's just not something I want to do. Yeah, it just looks blah. I think that it would be more fun, more challenging, and it would probably just be more interesting.
Yeah, a team, and it seems like you're, like there's not really a team with golf, which I know there's a lot of nice things doing individual sports, but I don't know. If those are the only two things you could do, I think I would figure out hockey.
I think so too. Me too. I think that would be more fun. So that is Happy Gilmore, and we are heading down the Adam Sandler pipeline. So there's probably going to be more in the next couple weeks.
At least 3 more after this one. At least, I say, because we might even discover other ones that, who knows, maybe we'll do Grown Ups.
Oh yeah.
Grown Ups 1, 2. There's a lot of other things we can do.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. If you went back and watched it, if it was kind of different seeing it. I know we both thought it was hilarious again, visiting it. Or if it's not really your favorite, but you still like Adam Sandler, we're always happy to hear what you think and engage with that. Let us know. Connect with us on socials. We're on everything, including YouTube.
Just find us, Wicked Psychotherapists, and you'll find us.
Leave us a review. That helps us out a lot. And
share with your friends.
Yes. Don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well. All right. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.